My best friend, Cindy, moved into my house using her exams as an excuse. She stayed for free, ate my food, and then tried to steal my husband. She even left a piece of lingerie in the back of his car. When my husband, Mark, saw it, he looked at me with a smirk and said, "Hey babe, what's this? Are you trying to seduce me?" Looking at his stupidly innocent face. My last bit of sanity told me things weren't that simple. It all started a month ago when my college roommate, Cindy, called me out of the blue. She said she was coming to New York to prepare for an exam and needed a place to stay for a month. "I don't know anyone else in the city. I'm counting on you," she pleaded. Since graduation, we hadn't met, only chatting occasionally. I was her only connection left from college. Despite being a bit reluctant, I couldn't say no. I talked to Mark about it, worried he'd say no. But he was surprisingly understanding. "She's your best friend from college. We should help if we can," he said. I immediately told Cindy the good news. "You're a lifesaver, Sophie." "I won't be a burden. I can cook and clean," she promised. I laughed it off, knowing she never lifted a finger in college. I spent the weekend tidying up the guest room, unaware I was inviting a wolf into my home. Years had passed, but Cindy was as stunning as ever. In college, she was the campus belle with countless admirers. While other girls were happy with chocolates, she was playing a different game. She moved through her suitors with an effortless grace that I always admired, until she chose him. Not one of the young knights chasing her, but a prince who was 20 years older driving a Porsche and handing out iPhones to her roommates like candy. On the way home from the airport, I asked about the prince. "Oh, we're done," she sighed. After graduation, she lived a comfortable life under his protection in a smaller city. She didn't mind not having a title, as long as the bills were paid. But a year ago, he was jailed for corruption and her world collapsed. Having never worked a day in her life, she was lost. This NYC exam was her last shot at a real job. "You're so lucky, Sophie," Cindy sighed. "You've built a real life here. Mark is successful and he clearly adores you." I rolled my eyes. "Success is one thing, but that man has the romantic soul of a brick." I told her about his proposal. He had just returned from a business trip, handed me a ring in the middle of the airport lobby, and said, "Hey, let's get married. No flowers, no music. Just a good deal, on a ring from the duty-free shop." Cindy just laughed. When we got home, Cindy insisted on cooking. "It's the least I can do," she said. The smell was incredible. When Mark walked in, his eyes lit up. "Babe, is that lobster thermidor?" "I didn't know you could cook like this." I gave him a look. "I can't." Cindy made everything. Cindy emerged from the kitchen, looking like a professional chef. "Just a little something for my gracious hosts," she smiled. Mark was floored. "This is better than any restaurant in Manhattan." During dinner, Cindy barely ate. She just watched us, her eyes lingering a bit too long on Mark. "I'm so jealous of you too," she whispered. "I hope I can find a man like Mark someday." Mark was too busy stuffing his face to notice, but I saw it. That look, it wasn't just admiration, it was calculation. I tried to shake it off. "Don't worry, Cindy. New York is full of guys. I'll introduce you to some," I said, my voice tighter than I intended. That night in bed, I asked Mark what he thought of her. "She's fine, makes great food," he mumbled, already half asleep. "But is she pretty?" I pressed. He opened one eye. "She's okay, I guess." "But you're the most beautiful woman in the world, babe." It was exactly what I wanted to hear. I decided to stop being so paranoid. It was only for a month, after all. But then, a business trip to Los Angeles came up. I had to leave for a week. "Be good," I warned Mark as I packed my bags. "No funny business while I'm gone. If you even think about looking at Cindy, I'll know." Mark laughed, pulling me into a hug. "Babe, I'll be so busy with the new product launch. I won't even see her except at dinner." "Relax." I flew to LA, but I couldn't stop checking my phone. The first 2 days were normal. Mark called every morning and night, complaining about how much he missed me. By the fourth day, the calls became shorter. "Busy at the office," he'd say. "Talk later." When I checked in with Cindy, she was suspiciously quiet. Then Mark stopped calling altogether. My messages went unread for hours. "Just got home, heading to bed," he'd text at midnight. Something felt wrong. I couldn't wait until Saturday. I changed my flight and headed back to New York a day early, my heart racing the whole way. I let myself into the apartment quietly. The smell of ginger and chicken soup filled the air. Mark was at the dining table, looking pale, while Cindy was hovering over him with a bowl. "You need to eat this, Mark. It'll help your stomach," she said softly. My suitcase hit the floor with a thud. They both jumped. "Surprise," I said, my voice cold. Mark looked relieved, but Cindy's expression was a mix of shock and something else I couldn't quite name. "What's going on?" I asked, staring at the soup. "Mark had a stomach bug, so I made him something light," Cindy explained, her voice as sweet as honey. I glared at Mark. "And you couldn't tell me this on the phone," he sighed. "I didn't want you to worry, babe. The hardware launch has been a nightmare. And I've been living on coffee and stress." Looking at the stacks of blueprints on his desk, I realized he wasn't lying. But Cindy's help still felt like an intrusion. Later, Cindy brought Mark some medicine. "Take this, you'll feel better," she said, practically tucking him in. I'd had enough. I dragged Mark into our bedroom. "Are you into her?" I hissed. He looked confused. "What? No, she's just being nice." I grabbed his arm. "Nice. My man doesn't need nice from other women. Today it's soup and medicine. Tomorrow she'll be caring for you in our bed." "Are you that blind?" Mark just laughed, which only made me angrier. "Babe, you're crazy." "Cindy is actually dating my friend Josh," Mark said, trying to calm me down. "She's not even my type. I like." "Well, you." He started joking around to lighten the mood, and despite myself, I felt some of the tension melt away. Maybe I was overreacting. Cindy had been seeing Josh, a nice guy with a stable job and a house in Queens. But my gut still told me to watch her. The 1-month mark was approaching. She'd be gone soon. A few days later, Cindy told me her exam was delayed. "I'm so sorry, Sophie. I might need to stay a bit longer," she said, looking pathetic. I couldn't say no, but Mark was already losing it. "How much longer do I have to behave?" He groaned in private. But then, Cindy started paying a lot of attention to Mark's needs. If he mentioned wanting a specific breakfast, she'd have it ready the next morning. She even started watching his favorite anime, One Piece, just to have something to talk about with him. I felt like a stranger in my own home. Then I found it. A piece of sexy black lace lingerie, tucked under the passenger seat of Mark's car. I recognized it immediately. Cindy had shown it to me while doing laundry, asking where to hang her delicates. My blood ran cold. Was Mark lying to me? Had they already crossed the line? The car was the perfect place for a secret tryst while I was at work. I felt a wave of nausea. I took the lingerie and waited for Mark to get home. As soon as Mark walked in, I dragged him into the bedroom and threw the lingerie at him. He stared at it, then looked at me with a smirk. "Hey babe, what's this?" "Are you trying to surprise me?" I didn't laugh. "It's Cindy's." "I found it in your car." Mark's face went white. "WTF, how did that get there?" "I swear, I haven't done anything." Looking at his sheer panic, I realized the truth. He was innocent. This was a trap set by Cindy to make me kick him out or start a fight. Cindy's plan was clever. If I hadn't recognized the lingerie, I would have assumed Mark was cheating. I would have screamed, he would have defended himself, and she would have been there to comfort us both. She wanted to break us apart so she could move in for the kill. But she underestimated one thing. I wasn't going to play her game. Instead of kicking her out, I decided to have some fun. I installed a small camera in the living room, just in case. A few days later, I checked the camera and discovered something even better. Cindy wasn't just a home wrecker, she was a liar. She had an abandoned child back in her hometown, living with her mother. She had been pretending to be a single, carefree girl to attract men like Mark. And the best part, her exam had ended 2 weeks ago. She was just staying at our place for free, waiting for her next target. I had everything I needed to end this. At dinner that night, I made Cindy cook a massive feast. "Since you're leaving soon, we should celebrate," I said cheerfully. She looked exhausted, her makeup smudging from the heat of the stove. Mark and I sat on the couch, eating fruit and laughing at a show. "When you leave, Mark, we should hire a maid," I said loudly. "Cindy has been so helpful, I don't know how we'll cope." Cindy froze. She knew the game was up. The next morning, she packed her bags and left without a word. I thought it was over, but 2 weeks later, I saw Cindy in the neighborhood. She had already moved in with a new guy, just a few blocks away. She was still playing the same game. I felt a pang of pity for the child she left behind. So I did what any good friend would do. I called her mother and told her Cindy was settled in a new apartment and wanted them to visit for her birthday. I even sent her the money for the train tickets. I can only imagine the look on Cindy's face when her mother and child show up at her new boyfriend's door. It's a birthday surprise she'll never forget. After all, what are friends for? As for Mark and me, we're doing just fine. And he's finally learned that nice isn't always what it seems. Sometimes, the most beautiful flowers have the sharpest thorns. But I'll always be the one pruning the garden.